We're calling all Catholics to help us complete a spiritual bouquet of 100,000 First Saturdays by the 100th anniversary of Our Lady of Fatima's request, December 10th, 2025. Please ask all of your friends, family, and parish to sign up. And don't forget to update your status every month at fatima.org/100 by 100.
I want to explain the inspiration for this talk. Kevin gave a wonderful introduction, so you may already have caught a lot of it. There's a negative inspiration and a positive inspiration. So first, the negative. If you're like me, you've probably noticed that it seems the only completely socially acceptable prejudice in our society is to be anti-Catholic. You can be anti-Catholic and completely get away with it, and it is socially acceptable. Bigotry and bias against Catholicism is rampant in movies, in media, in jokes, in songs, in Olympic ceremonies, right? In the history books, it really is everywhere. And it seems like any time they represent Catholics, it's got to be a terrible representation, right? And when they present a priest or a bishop, and he's gluttonous, and he's lustful, and he's greedy, and he's malicious, and he's duplicitous, and every representation, it seems, of our Catholic faith in the popular culture is negative, negative, negative all the time. And Catholics are caricaturized in this bad way as being superstitious and old-fashioned and not with the times. That can have an effect on us. It shows real ignorance on the part of many others. And that's what we have to dispel. We're going to have to dispel ignorance with truth. But on the very sort of human psychological level, it can lead to us being embarrassed, a little ashamed. Sometimes we were not necessarily want to tell people we're Catholic, or we sort of hide it a little bit. We'll do it in private, but not all the time. Even to the classic thing of, maybe being in a restaurant and not wanting to make the sign of the cross for fear that someone will see you. Don't be afraid of that, right? Don't be motivated by fear and human respect, because that's not what God wants from us. And it's not what a confirmed soldier of Christ would do. So we want strength, not weakness, and Christ, of course, supplies that. But we need to know the truth. Then the second reason for this talk, or inspiration for this talk, I should say, is that some years back, I found a fascinating series in this magazine. It's called The Latin Mass, and the name of this series was called Greatest When Catholic. And so that's where the title comes from. There was an author, his name's James Bemis. I don't know him personally. He's a Catholic author, historian, columnist, and eventually this series ran for about 4 years. So there were quite a few articles. And his basic argument was that if you study countries across the world and across their history, they always reached a kind of zenith in their culture, in their civilization, harkening back to what Dr. Childs was telling us a little bit about, the culture and the civilization we have, that they always reached a kind of pinnacle when they were, if you will, most Catholic. When Catholicism sort of just saturated the atmosphere and the environment in which they lived. And so he would show you all these different countries and highlight one each time and give you all the great accomplishments of this civilization and really wrap it up by saying, see, they were greatest when they were Catholic, in different ways for each one. And ever since I read that series, it really did impact me, and it has helped me resist this bias, because I've got the knowledge. And so when I see this bias coming at me from the culture, I'm like, well, you're dead wrong. You don't know anything. You don't know your history. You need to learn. And so I hope to impart just a little bit of that with you in this particular talk. Like I say, his talks were covering Spain, England, Italy, France, Belgium, Scotland, Scandinavia, Germany. He went to Ireland, Hungary, Moldavia was one of them. So all kinds of different countries he was going over in this series. So we could ask ourselves, and we should, the question of what makes a civilization great, if we're going to say it's greatest when Catholic. And if you look up definitions, a definition for civilization is an advanced state of intellectual, cultural, and material development in human society, marked by progress in the arts and the sciences, the extensive use of record keeping, including writing, and the appearance of complex and social institutions. So this is what civilization is. You're going to see it marked by this flourishing of who the human being is in all the different pursuits that he has. And interestingly enough, T.S. Eliot, of all people, had a quote where he said, "The culture of a people is the incarnation of its religion. Religion gives our apparent meaning to life. It provides the framework for a culture, and it protects the mass of humanity from boredom and despair. And so what you see is that there has never been a real culture without religion. But again, the culture is reflecting the religion of the time. Obviously, as you lose religion and you become a-religious, you're also really losing culture and losing civilization and descending to the level of the beasts.